superhero. It's just, you see what I'm saying? You shouldn't have to buy a different.
Super sad is like 15 years ago, I owned one of every system. I didn't really break a sweat over the whole thing. And it was like, whatever. And now it's like, you expect me to spend $600 on what? Oh, no. Like,
nowadays, most things are just cross-platform anyway. So.
And at least
I think that's the thing. Nintendo will always resist the idea of cross-platform for their own.
And that's fine. And that's fine. Just update their system. It's literally, the Nintendo Switch is literally a retro
system. From their perspective, because they put out their own content primarily, they just don't care enough to do that.
And then at some point, it's going to kill them. Their players will stop playing.
Maybe
technology. It's going to be like the PS4 users. If you still have a PS4, they're not making new games for the PS4.
Yeah.
So at some point, they'll stop making new games for the Switch unless a new Switch comes out.
That's just, they're definitely going to release another.
Yeah, they get outdated. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I would love. I had a Switch, but I've had a Switch twice and sold it both times because I just didn't play it enough. But I would love to have a good portable gaming system like a Switch that's just a newer system. That's all.
But their unique selling point, I guess, is that you can only get their games on their console, and they don't care whether you want to play, I don't know, Halo on it. They just don't care. It doesn't make any difference.
But I think the average fan wants more like MMO style, multiplayer games, and the Switch just can't handle it.
Right.
I'm surprised it handles Fortnite.
I also want to say and remind people that the GameCube, the Wii,
GameCube was fire.
And this awesome. One, they're all innovative and still more Nintendo focused every time. I mean, I don't know about anyone's experience with games they can't play on the Switch, right?
Here's the thing.
I do know that certain games that I owned were a little bit lesser on the GameCube, but I didn't care because I was having.
GameCube had a more wider range of like shooters and blah blah blah, sports games and everything that you could play, and it wasn't just like, play Mario Sunshine or nothing else.
And I agree with you. There's that the GameCube was built to compete with what was out during that. That was a PS2, and that was the original Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's obsolete, and Switch has only stepped up this much since then.
Right.
So.
Have y'all ever looked at sales for all the systems based on the releases that came out? Nintendo has never been out on top. The only time they were was during the Nintendo era, and that's it. But do you know why Nintendo is still a huge company and they're still putting out games today? Because they're not worried about competing with the other two. They have enough franchise game. I mean, you're talking about like you can't name like more than 5 huge franchises on Xbox and PS until certain points in their career. It's different with Nintendo. They started right off the bat with huge franchise games that have been going on since then.
But look at their sales real quick. Look at their sales. When you go into a game store, Nintendo has a contract with retailers, with GameStop, with anything. It doesn't matter how old your game is. Certain games can never go under like $40. So a game could be 7 or 8 years old, and you're still paying almost brand new prices at used game stores. That's why Nintendo makes so much more money, because you can go to Xbox, and if a game's 2 or 3 years old, you're getting it for $5 or $10. Xbox doesn't care; they're making new games. Same thing with PlayStation. But like Nintendo, their games are always going to be not even just a retro reselling thing. It could just be at a retailer if it's sealed.
That's called the standard of a good company. Look at Disney. Look at Marvel. Look at that. No, that's the standard of a good company. If you have a good company, their stuff is going to be expensive, long-term value.
I do agree in principle with you, Durs. I just don't think that they care about it.
No, they don't. They never have.
And at some point,
I mean, you brought up the GameCube, and the GameCube is actually one of the systems that had less of a category for more adults to play. It had the least first-person shooters. It only has 2 successful horror games on it. It was the one that was campaigned for kids.
But it was across the board, like Rich said. It was built to compete. There's a difference. There's a total difference, and especially in the day and age we live in, and with what Microsoft is doing next year, and what I
whilst we're talking GameCube, I have to shout out Metal Gear Solid 1 on the GameCube, where they redid all the animatics and got the director of Versus and Godzilla Final Wars.
Godzilla's on the GameCube.
It's
Star Wars
phenomenal.
Bounty Hunter, man. That game was
As
awesome.
We got our first Resident Evil remake was on GameCube.
As much as I'm kind of enjoying this, we really left Super Nintendo waiting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Still on Nintendo. We're just working backwards. But
that was not the point.
We'll get
My fault. I started it. Sorry about that.
You guys knew I was in a ranty mood tonight because of WWE.
I
so
know, but I was waiting
down.
for it to come out of Spawn, not from this.
There was Spawn. There was a Spawn
I
game.
was waiting for you to go, I can't believe this bitch is king of hell. Oh my God, like, I was waiting for that.
That was a Spawn game, right?
The best fight game I've ever played was
Super
on the
Nintendo PS1.
Yeah, I had it on Super
The
Nintendo.
best fighting
We
game.
Yeah,
ever.
brought it back.
Spawn was
There
on
was a
Super
Spawn
Nintendo.
game.
Yeah.
There we go. Super Nintendo.
And PS1.
Yep.
And Xbox.
Did you guys have the gun for the Yoshi game? The gun?
No. No,
Yoshi?
I never, like, I don't know how it was for you guys, but, like, I never met anybody that had the gun.
I did. Dude.
I never met a guy that had
Still,
the
so
gun.
like at my dad's, I still have my 64. I still have tons of games. I still have the gun. I still have my Nintendo. I still have all the games. It's just in storage. But you were basically like, if you see the top little panel is like Mario riding Yoshi. You were on Yoshi on a set course on a road, and like you would shoot Goombas and stuff as you rode around them.
Never saw
It barely worked.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, it was dope. I can't remember what it's called. Yoshi's something, but it came with the gun. Yeah, Mario RPG was fire. Yeah, it's a big gun with like a little.
I remember the gun. I don't remember the game.
The
look it
bazooka.
up.
It looks like a bazooka. It said they called
Yeah,
it like a light something. I can't remember.
It was
But,
it was called the Super Scope 6.
yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. And I want to say it dropped with like a robot game. Like
Why was it called the sixth one?
Yoshi's
Like,
Safari.
what was
Yoshi's Safari was the
Oh.
game. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yoshi's-
I forgot about that completely.
I never played it.
I thought about buying it when it came out, and I had a friend that bought it, and I went and played his, and I just didn't buy it.
We
The
didn't.
Super Scope 6.
Yeah, we didn't use it for long. I want to say it was like real gimmicky. We played it like when it first dropped, and then it just went to the closet and sat there.
Hey, Caroline.
You know. But I mean, I played the hell out of some games: Super Mario World, Mario World
Oh,
2,
Lord.
Star Fox, Donkey Kong
Mhm.
Country, Donkey Kong Country 2
Super
and 3,
Metroid.
and you know,
Yes,
Kirby games, and of course, I originally bought it for Superman. But then I would find these other games like the bargain bin games. So I was like, why wouldn't I want Super Mario RPG for $6.99? Sure.
The Endo Nerd says he was the 1994 Blockbuster Video World Championship winner in Canada. Wow. He went to the World
That's
Finals
awesome.
in Fort Lauderdale. Wow.
Wow, nice.
We call him Master Blaster.
Hell yeah.
Me and my brother did
Earthworm
89.
Jim. I loved Earthworm Jim.
That's when Jim was great.
But yeah, I was gonna say now talking about third party, I played Earthworm Jim, the Mortal Kombat with the sweat, the Street Fighters. I actually loved a game called Gemfire. My first
Jim Fire?
Yeah,
This is a good
Gemfire.
one.
Gemfire is like a strategy-based game. Now, if you're watching somebody play it, you're gonna be bored as hell. But you're basically it's this little island, and the story is these 6 gems get scattered out. It's magical, and you're basically taking over the whole continent through warfare, building up your armies and crops and stuff. You're gonna take over everybody to unite the island and blah blah blah. I mean, the plot made no sense, but to me the game was fun. But for me, the Super Nintendo was my introduction to Final Fantasy. I played Final Fantasy 2 or 4, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
3 or 6,
Not a fan of Final Fantasy. I tried it.
and Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger was
Chrono
fun.
Trigger. Secret of Mana, Breath of Fire,
Mega Man X. I loved Mega Man X.
Mega Man X.
Super Mario RPG.
I think Final Fantasy and Mega Man were the only 2 games I never really got behind.
And then
Mega
because I mean, you talk
X
about
Zero.
your Nintendo franchises, and of course you had like you said, F-Zero, Super Metroid, Link to the Past,
Link to the Past. That was awesome too.
Yep.
Donkey Kong Country,
Mario All Stars,
Super Mario
Yep.
World, Super Mario All Stars. We got the Lost Levels. We got
Bomberman.
All Stars was my most played game besides Battletoads, I would say.
Now, hey, everybody remembers Mario All Stars, but who remembers that they actually made a game for Ninja Gaiden, the Ninja Gaiden trilogy?
Yeah, it had all three of them on there. Yeah, I did.
And they brought it back. They brought them all back for. They were all on the original Xbox.
Yep. And the one Batman game for the Super Nintendo that I had so much trouble with, and that was Adventures of Batman and Robin.
I love that game.
That was the Tim Burton one, right? It was
No, that's the animated one.
I had the Batman Returns game on the stairs. That was
that one was good.
It was
The
awesome.
the worst one for
scrolling
us was on Genesis, and that was Batman Forever.
Was that the one? Was that the one in the Michael Keaton universe? Batman Forever.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's Val Kilmer.
You fight the Jokers and stuff like that.
No, that'd be the Batman
This one
Returns.
looks like Mortal Kombat. It looks and plays like Mortal Kombat, like the first Mortal Kombat, but it's a side
the
scroller.
scrolling beat 'em up one would have been Batman Returns, and that was really fun. It was a cool game. Graphics.
Batman games were good though.
There were a lot of cool fighters, but one of my favorite fighters, it was not Street Fighter, it wasn't Killer Instinct or anything like that. I got a kick out of playing a game called Brutal. It's called Brutal Falls
Brutal
of
was
Fury.
Oh yeah.
I love that game. And like Rich said,
Jack.
all the Star Wars games were hard as hell.
You had
Holy
Shaq
shit.
Fu. You had like
Jack-
Brutal.
Ooh, bro.
You had Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. You had Samurai Showdown. You had.
Oh, I forgot to mention Zombie Ate My Neighbors.
I love that game. I have that today. I have.
Kirby was fun. I wasn't a Mega Man kid. I was a Kirby kid.
Super Bomberman was.
I'm not gonna. I don't mean to change gears, man, but they got to thinking of the fighter games. They need to make another Injustice, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Injustices were dope. I'm not I'm a gamer through and through. I'll put money on any game against anybody except fighting games. That is the one game that is my Achilles heel. I'm not very good at fighting games. They're fun though.
Just gotta look up all the codes and know the
Dude,
characters.
I just can't. I get destroyed, man. I ain't gonna lie.
As I say, fake Killer Instinct came with that music CD.
Yeah, Killer.
it did, yeah. I played that CD to death. I mean,
We played.
I remember getting that for Christmas, Killer Instinct. With the
Yeah, they had that
yeah.
set too. It was fire. And I remember you showing Lion King in the beginning, and I remember that being one of the hardest games of all time, bro.
Dude, the Stampede still gives me PTSD.
Oh, hard, dude. Because that was one of the games like Battletoads, man. You get to you ever lose your life, you'd have to start all over. But that game was very unforgiving because it was all jumping. You couldn't fight back or do anything.
Now I'm going to mention another game. Believe it or not, this was one of my favorite Disney games. It was a Mickey Mouse game for the Super Nintendo called I forgot. It was like Mickey Mouse and his Magical Quest or something. I forgot what. I used
Castle of Illusion.
Well, Castle of Illusion was
Was it
Sega,
an
right?
RPG game?
Sega.
Yeah, there was a Mickey Mouse game for Sega, but there was a different one for the Super Nintendo that I really liked.
Super
I don't
Nintendo. I
remember
remember
the
they had like they on NES they had like the Disney like I forget what it was called, but it was like Disney Parks, and you played and it had like different areas of the parks and it had different like levels.
But basically, this game, every level you had to fight some boss that was inspired by Pete. I mean, it was pretty good. I'm gonna Google it.
I was an Aladdin kid when it came to Disney games. Aladdin, man.
Magical Quest.
Aladdin was all right.
Magical Quest. That's not.
Yeah, the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. That's what it was.
Yeah. No, I was an Aladdin kid as well, but Aladdin for me was on the Mega Drive.
Super Smash
Genesis.
The Mega Drive, if you know what it's really called.
The Genesis. That's it. No, but the Mega Drive did. I mean, like honestly, when Super Nintendo, like for some reason, Disney always had products on both. But I want to say when at that time, like they had more on Mega Drive because we had like the Donald Duck game they came out with, and that one was fire. Like the only Disney games that on that era that were bad were the movie related games, like Aladdin,
Yeah.
like Lion King, like
No, dude,
all
they were good. They were just so hard.
no, they were good. They were good. They were just unbeatable, is what I
That's
should have
what
said.
I'm saying, dude. They were
Okay. All the other Disney games, like Castle of Illusion, you could beat that game. Like I forget what what was it called? Donald. It was
I
like
think it was like Mr. Scrooge. Or
Quaxala.
something. I thought it was Mr. Scrooge. It was involved with him.
I'm gonna switch gears again. What was the most unbeatable game ever?
Ever? The Aladdin or Lion Kings, bro. They were tough. They were so
the
hard.
Lion Kings were.
But I did
savage.
end up finishing those.
Until you play
Yeah,
the game
I beat him.
Deadly Towers for NES.
Elden Ring will teach you a whole new concept of punishment.
Yeah, Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I beat that game. What'd you say, Rich?
Deadly Towers for NES.
Oh
man.
God, yeah.
That's some that's like saying Silver Surfer or X-Men on Nintendo. Those guys.
Right.
Silver Surfer was so crazy.
No, you can't. Anything by like what is that company LBJ or whatever? They're made not to be
LJN?
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Deadly Towers is good, but yeah, F that game.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude,
I remember being the only person that really loved the Beavis and Butthead game on the
No, dude, fire.
And that was on Super Nintendo too.
Fire.
And-
This game.
and that was one of the few cases where like it wasn't an exact port. There was a different version for Super Nintendo and a different version for Genesis.
Yeah,
It wasn't just like
It was Simpsons, like Bart's Treehouse of Horror. I remember playing that too.
Yeah, I remember
okay,
that.
like now that's a good Super Nintendo game right there. Is Bart's Nightmare? Bart's
Yeah.
who remembers
Maybe,
Bart?
maybe it's that one. There was a couple of them.
There's a Treehouse one too, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I played them all.
Because on Nintendo, I want to say like regular Nintendo, I think we had like 3 or 4.
One was just a direct
Simpsons.
arcade because it was in the arcade at first, and then it became a direct in the Nintendo port from the arcade.
I remember Bart versus the Space Mutants.
Yeah.
That was NES.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was earlier, wasn't
Bart
it?
and the Radioactive Man, that was NES, and Krusty's Funhouse, that was NES. I love that game.
Nothing compares
I
to
had Space
Simpsons
Mutants
hit
on
run.
the Commodore 64, I think. It was really early.
It was on Master System too. It
It
was
could have
really
been Master System that I had it then, yeah. Could have been.
but I want to say on Super Nintendo, I want to say we only had 2 Simpson games. It was Bart's Nightmare, and then
Did
think
anybody
the other-
play? Did anybody play Pitfall? Pitfall: The Mind Adventure on Super Nintendo?
I did, but screw that game.
I don't remember which
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
I did, but no, like,
I just got tired of Pitfall. Like, I remember liking Pitfall to it, like even Atari Pitfall, but it just, I don't know. There's something about it where it just gets boring really quick. Like running across the stream, alligator, rope.
Grab the vine.
Yeah.
Another one that I like playing for Super Nintendo. It's a game called Darius Twin, and what threw me off was when I got my mini Sega. It had a game on there called Darius. I don't know if it's connected or not, but Darius Twin was kind of like Gradius and all those where you had your ship
Yeah.
and you got your power ups, and all your enemy ships at the end were like based on fish. They're like all different types of fish, but it was pretty cool. I mean, it was a fun little game. And another favorite of mine was Blackthorn. I love Blackthorn.
Blackthorn was pretty good. I thought if I'm not mistaken, that might have been George Lucas. Like his,
I don't remember.
it might have been like
Oh.
Lucas Games.
Blizzard did Blackthorn. I remember
Oh,
Blizzard
that's
did
what it
that,
is.
yeah.
That's what it is. It's Blizzard. It's early.
And
and
yeah, I
of course
forgot there
we-
was a Tron game.
The only Tron
Yeah.
I remember was for like in television, man, where it was like
Yeah.
Tron's Deadly Discs.
The
Oh.
arcade.
Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You was just going to say something.
No, I was commenting on that. The only one I can remember is Tron the arcade game until later on. And what was gonna? Oh, and we were talking about it earlier, but Doom,
Yeah,
Super
Doom.
Nintendo. I mean, that for a lot of people, that was the first time they got to play it because a lot of people didn't have PCs back then.
There was a version of Prince of Persia on Super Nintendo as well.
I do look because that's a game I really missed. I don't know how many people played the original Prince of Persia.
Played them all, and they ruined that franchise, bro. It's not.
No.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference. Because most people don't know about this. It's older than console games. Is Prince of Persia, and the original was a side-scrolling. It was very bloody.
Yes, it's still like, come on, man. We don't want that Prince of Persia, dude. We want the ones we got originally. The first core 3 as a kid. They were bangers.
I've never liked those Prince of Persia.
The time travel ones, those were so good. When I saw the game, I was so hyped, and then they showed the side scroller, and I was like,
originally, Prince of Persia was like Aladdin. It had, Aladdin minus magic. It had no magic.
With a whole lot of bloodier.
Yeah, it had. It was just basically a violent, like side scroller.
Yeah,
yes, it was a lot like Assassin's Creed.
Right.
And of course, as far as racing games go, the one they mentioned earlier about Kyle Petty, was it No Fear Racing?
No Fear or something, yeah.
Yeah. That and my favorite racing game was Top Gear. I love playing Top Gear, but I didn't really play a lot of racing games.
Gran Turismo, man. PS1, PS2.
Oh yeah.
I have a question.
Mario Kart.
Yeah.
If
Mario Kart,
if you could go back to when you were a kid, like right now, and play one game with your friends that you were, like what game would you play?
Easy. I got you. I'll go first. It's easily picked. Halo. Original Halo when you could console.
No. Okay.
Super Nintendo?
Sorry.
Super Nintendo? All right, you go first. You go first, Hugh.
SNES games.
NBA Jam. I love that game.
Shakalaka.
Exactly. That was so much fun playing it with my mates. Like,
I loved it with the arcade, bro. In the arcade with everybody. Yeah. That was what I rep.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was like one game that like shocked me or whatever from Super Nintendo. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to just go back to the Friends time, man. Double Dragon.
Yeah, it would just be like a game that I really enjoyed, like with friends or something like that. But like even playing for the first time, like Zelda on Super Nintendo, something like that. Like,
boom shakalaka.
You know what they are? Okay, I love
smash the backboard, and you could do a flip and set it on fire and smash the blackboard. It was amazing.
The helicopter jam.
Yeah.
Boom shakalaka. No, NBA Jam was that.
I can't believe Seabizzle hates NBA Jam.
Yeah, that's great. I've never met anybody that didn't like the original NBA Jam.
Or Blitz, one of the two. Those are all.
Yeah. Blitz was good in the beginning.
But yeah, if I had to pick one, and I'm going to stick to Super Nintendo, it would be the Avengers, because it was great player, and like I never got to finish that freaking game. So I was like, yes, if I go back, I was like, get one of my buddies and like, come on, we're gonna finish this.
Mine, if we're picking Super Nintendo, is none, because my Super Nintendo when the Super Nintendo came out. It was my best friend, because that's when my parents got divorced, and I was the every other weekend kid with my dad, and my dad was a mechanic, an alcoholic farmer. So for 3 days, I'm just with my Super Nintendo chilling. So I didn't really have that like must play game. Like I was a gamer as soon as I was born, but Halo was my core memory of like my friends, you know.
Could you maybe imagine a game that you might want to play with?
Dude, no, dude. If it was a game, it would be Lion King. Screw that game. I want to see if I could beat it as an adult.
So let me get this straight. You'd go back in the past and play the one game that you know you can't beat. Like it's kind of like
I beat it as a kid. I beat almost every Super Nintendo game because like I was committed.
I'm just saying, I
want to see if I can still beat it.
Durs, next if you ever come to Arkansas,
the Lion King is there for you. I got Aladdin and Genesis over here, you know, for Lion King.
I'll bring a couple spare controllers to break, so I have those on the side.
That's gonna be a Heroes Con, so I can watch all. I'm gonna bring Ninja Turtles. I'll bring all the world's worst games.
Turtles, bro. They just had the like classic collection re-released on Xbox. I just 100%ed that, so I'm ready to go on that.
Mike,
All right,
you
so
you going to Heroes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are you? Damn.
Yeah. He was
Combat.
fun.
Everybody but me.
That's the plan.
I will be there.
And
either.
hotel and plane. I mean, at this point, there's not too much that can stop me from coming. I
I
already
just
got
did a
okay.
little bit of Googling. Do you remember Rock and Roll Racing?
Yes, I do. That was a good game.
I haven't thought about that game in
With the raisin guys, like the California raisin guys.
no rock
No.
and roll
Racing, not racing.
racing.
Oh, I remember there being a Super Nintendo with the California raisins guys.
You know what?
Yeah, I think
I
there
remember
was.
that.
There was. And they were trademark heavy during that day because we got like a Noids from Domino's Pizza game. We got like
yeah.
got a McDonald's game on Nintendo. We got like Spot on Genesis. We got from 7-Up.
There was a Fido Dido game.
Oh, we got Pepsi Man on
Got,
PS1.
Pepsi Man, why?
Never released. Cool
What was
Spot
that?
was interesting because Cool Spot
Oh yeah, cool spot.
was the mascot for 7-Up in the US, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in the UK, not the same thing, but we still got Cool Spot as a game, which is a weird thing because we had a character called Fido Dido over here on 7-Up, and he had a game that was fully developed apparently, but never was released, which is a weird sort of bit of trivia for me.
I was trying to think. We had a couple different like.
I was sitting there going back to the question. If I was going to pick a game, it'd either be Turtles 4 or Mario Kart.
I like both. Turtles 4 was a big one. It's quick to beat though. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
there's so many fun ones with friends. I mean, Mario Kart, F-Zero, or then you can go like Zombies Ate My Neighbor. I mean, because that was 2 players simultaneously. Like all the fighting games, shit, Clay Fighter, Killer Instinct. I don't know how many hours.
Clay Fighter, bro.
Yeah.
Clay Fighter.
Clay Fighter and Proceed Now Primal Rage. That unlocks another memory.
Now, I was going to say, I don't want to lick Durz's Switch Rage again, but one of my highlights this year was getting the Turtles collection for the Switch.
I have that. Which one? Which one? Because there's 2. Shredder's Revenge.
This is.
I think Shredder's Revenge is just a completely different game, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
Shredder's
Revenge is a game, and then they have like
the collection. Because I got the collection on the PS4.
So the California collection is all the old ones that you can like pause time, fast forward, rewind, have unlimited saves, do whatever you want. Shredder's
I mean, why wouldn't you use a PS5 to play a game that came out?
Shredder's Revenge is dope too. It's just
on
like
the Game Boy as well. You can play Game Boy games on it, which is just insane.
Right.
So
let me ask you a question. Have you ever went back and played a game that you were really good at back in the day and you just absolutely suck at now?
Nope.
Stay
gamer,
good at
bro.
it forever. Yeah.
Damn, I'm the only one.
Yeah, I'm a gamer.
I could start Zelda right now and probably beat it in an hour.
I'm like
Gosh, I guess
get better with age.
I mean,
I tried to go back and play Mortal Kombat 2 for the Sega and got my ass handed to me. So
I mean, if you haven't played in a
really
long
done it. So
Actually, yeah. You know, I'm gonna take that back. Madden. If I picked up Madden now, when I was good at it back in the day, I'd probably get spanked.
I play nightly, bro. I'm in big time online leagues. Man, I'm a low key Madden goat. Like I don't brag or anything, but I am in the top few hundred in the world. So
That's cool.
There is a difference from going to new age games like modern
Sports
stuff
ball, dude.
to retro. Like,
oh man, the Endo Nerd just mentioned one.
You know what we haven't mentioned?
that was a
Star
launch title right there. Pilot Wings.
Yeah,
Star Fox was massive.
Cliff mentioned it, but yeah,
You did. Maybe I wasn't here when you said that. I feel bad.
I was what was his name? Flippy? Was that the frog? Flippy? Or
Flippy
man.
the Bird.
No, what was the frog?
Frogger.
Was that his name? The dude always complaining, man. Always thinking you're going to crash and die, yelling at you.
In Star Fox. Oh, I forgot his name, but you're right. He is
Slippy.
Peppy.
His name was Slippy.
Peppy?
Yeah, Slippy. No, Slippy. Peppy was the bunny.
I'm looking it up.
What the
Yeah,
hell are you
Sli-
talking about? I'm so
Star-
confused.
Star Fox
Star
characters.
Fox.
Oh,
Slippy
right,
the
yeah, we're on Star Fox.
I remember
Okay.
the frog
There we
was
go.
always
Hey,
howling.
Hey, Dirt, I'm going to throw this out. Dirt says this doesn't count, but this has Star Fox 2 on it.
Yep, the only way you can play unless you bootleg an emulator.
Yeah.
General Pepper, forgot about that dude. Pigma Dangar.
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah, Shadow Wolf.
Slippy the Toad, yeah, that dude.
Slippy.
Yeah, bro. Hated that.
Anybody remember Bob?
Huh?
Yeah, the Bobcat, like the side scroll.
No. It was like a
No?
little blob that bounced around, had little eyeballs. No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Well,
Our Bob might have been different. We had like Bob the Bobcat.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but this is different. This was a little, like, putty-ish. Yeah, it was funny.
did they
Yeah,
make a punch up for Super Nintendo?
Yeah. It's at
I
the
don't
bottom
remember
right
doing
on
that.
the screen. It's like right down there.
Well, I guess I ought to pay attention to my.
I've just looked it
Called
up, and
Super
it was
Punch-Up.
called
Yeah.
Super Funky Bob in the US, if that helps.
And right over here in the left corner is Super Ghosts and Goblins, or Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
That was a hard game, too.
Yeah, they're hard.
Yeah, Ghosts and Goblins.
But hey, my guys, I gotta roll out and I gotta eat something. So
See you, Dave.
Third, before you go, you want to whore yourself out for a second, or
yeah, just, come hang out with me tomorrow. You know, bam, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday sesh. We're gonna talk Borderlands, Halo, Elden Ring DLC. The good gaming news: Elden Ring DLC is trending to be the most watched video in a week on YouTube. So of all time on any video, it's like 10 million views. And fun fact: the original Elden Ring trailer is the most fastest viewed or most watched video for, I think it's in gaming in a week. So come hang out Sunday, watch my video today. Transformers, love you guys, stay legendary.
See you there.
Bye, guys.
See you, man.
All right, so back to Super Nintendo. So what was the longest game that y'all have ever spent some time on a Super Nintendo game?
Probably
I
Zelda,
spent a
man.
hell of a lot of time on that freaking Captain America and the Avengers.
That's a good game.
Zelda took a
Final
lot
Fantasy
of
II.
time, man.
Yeah,
I keep saying Final Fantasy 2, but
Yeah, that was
that's
pretty
how it
big
was.
too.
That was released. That's fine.
yeah.
You know what? Like, probably something like Super Metroid or Zelda. I don't really, I can't remember specifically spending a really long time on anything. I mean, I know that I played stuff like Bomberman over and over and over again, but not like
No, I'm talking about like to beat the
Right,
game
yeah.
or whatever.
to beat the game.
Well,
Like, probably
nope,
something like
nope.
Super Metroid.
No Chrono Trigger. No Secret of
Oh,
Mana.
Chrono Trigger was another. Yeah.
Oh,
Secret
Secret
Man.
Man.
I did do
I love
Secret
RPGs.
Mana, but I don't remember how long it took. No, like I couldn't tell you whether I did.
Yeah, I
anything
don't.
or
I don't
not,
remember the
but-
specifics on that. I don't even remember if I spent a long time. I want to say like Super Metroid. I want to say that was for me. I remember it being an easy beat, and Zelda I did spend some time on trying to figure everything out and stuff.
With going to the dark world and the light world back and forth. And yeah, that was tricky.
I want to say by Super Nintendo it got a little easier because we didn't just have like Nintendo Pro. We had like Gamer Pro. We had like I want to say like we had a little extra like
Cheats and stuff.
yeah.
We're going back to Final Fantasy 2. I remember me and my buddy was taking turns. We're trying to beat it together, and there was a part of the game where we had to fight these three sisters. They were like the Delta sisters. I forgot what they were called. And man, it took us weeks to get past them because we kept getting our asses kicked. Because every time we'd beat one of them, it would regenerate. And we forgot the oldest rule playing RPGs, and that is that the first thing you do is
Is
kill the
someone getting
healer.
into a fight? Like,
Right.
off camera. Like, I keep
It
hearing.
ain't me.
Is this serial killer about to get somebody?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Who doesn't hear that?
I hear it.
So you know what? I gotta apologize. That's me.
You?
That's
Is it you, Rich? What is that?
yeah, that's my son hitting the bag in the background.
That's fine. It's just
Yeah, as long as it's not like somebody
It's good
trying
to
to break
know.
down your door.
Sorry,
man.
I'll mute myself when I'm not talking.
Yeah, no.
No, that's fine. I mean, but no,
All
what
right,
I
well,
was saying, though, it took us weeks to do this, and I forgot the first rule of playing RPGs, which is you kill the healer. So as soon as we killed the healer, we got past it in like 5 minutes.
And then you hated yourselves because it took 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much. And my
That's-
go-to is always Super Castlevania 4. I love that game, even though it did have Paul Abdul and Fred Astaire. Who cares?
I want to say that's actually the game that kind of turned me off, like, because I was a huge Castlevania fan, like 1, 2, and 3, and then we got to Super Castlevania. And I wasn't a big fan that they like made him taller and like there was some aesthetics that I didn't like. There was some that I liked. I liked the whole whip around.
Yeah, I love that.
Still to this day, I think that's one of the funnest like add-ons they did because you can just sit there with your dude and be like, and he's all like,
Well, it blew my mind at one stage. You whip up, you catch this
I
thing,
do
and
I
then
do
the
like
whole
that.
damn room turns.
Yeah, they rotated the stage and I mean they were
Yeah.
getting inventive. That's still a great game. Anybody ever play Org Tactics?
Ogre Tactics? Yes.
Ogre Battle?
Yes.
All of them on Super Nintendo, on Nintendo 64. I love it.
On Super Nintendo, that's one of my favorite games, and my brother. And like, I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever beat that game because it's just a long, like, I don't know if y'all don't know what it is. It's basically you like start this game and you get tarot cards, and the tarot cards basically give you your fighters, and then they put you on a map that looks like the world, and it's kind of like a chess map. You move your characters this way, and they end up battling or whatever. When they go to battling, it looks like a traditional RPG and stuff. But like when you're on the map, you move around, you battle people. It was such a fun game. But you're talking about like that might be the answer to my question. Like the game that we spent the most amount of time trying to beat would probably be that one. I don't think we ever beat Org Battle.
I spent a hell of a lot of time on that one, and I did beat it because, of course, it had some of the most wonderful things about an RPG, like keep killing stuff to level up. You know, and it was like,
making your character stronger.
There were a few nights where I just remember that it was just like, I remember one week I was just grinding alone every single night, just grinding and grinding, trying to power up because I was like, oh, we're at this temple, we gotta this dude up, and I'm like, I don't have anything to do. And then finally I walked in there, I'm like, yeah.
Reef, I can't answer that for you, brother. If it was me, I'd keep it. But okay, I'm gonna mention another game. I love the movie so much. It's one of the few games for Super Nintendo that was based on a horror film. They actually made a Super Nintendo game based on Warlock, the second Warlock movie.
I remember seeing that, but I never played it.
I mean, I liked it. It wasn't the best game in the world, but I liked it. It's somewhat just called Warlock to Armageddon.
What did it play like? Was it a side scroller? Or was it?
It was a side scroller. And you were trying to get the gems like in the movie, the however many runes there were. But it was pretty decent. I mean, I liked it, but I mean, not too many people did. I think it got low reviews. But
I could say like a movie because they did do quite a bit of different. I mean, they did Page Master with Macaulay Culkin. We got that game.
I want to say they did Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yes, and that was actually like, bro, I had it was just a really hard and impossible game, and they came out with like different Draculas because it was on Sega CD and Genesis. But okay, so one of my favorite franchises is Aliens, right? So they dropped like Alien 3 on Genesis or Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, right? So honestly, in my opinion, the Genesis version is a little better. They went a little more adult with it, but the Super Nintendo version, I mean, like for an Alien game, because after that, most of the Alien games are kind of crap. You know, I mean, there was I want to say all the way up until like Xbox One with, well, I always draw a blank at the damn Alien game. But I want to say that was one of the better ones that we got for a long time was from, Super Nintendo Genesis days.
Endo nerd, I'm gonna say that Dracula X is freaking sick. And
I love it.
at that point in time, that was the closest to Rondo of Blood that we were going to get.
Yep.
Okay, I've got a game in my head and it's driving me insane because I
Legacy
cannot
of
remember what
Kain.
it's called.
Ooh,
Legacy of
Legacy.
Kain, yes.
That was a good one.
What is it, DVH?
Go DVH. I love this part.
Like it's sort of top down, and they're little commando men that you have to lead around.
Are you talking?
Like top down, like Zelda, like
Sort
Bird's Eye,
of, yeah,
but more like on a map.
sort of.
Okay,
It's
and what do you do in the game?
I'm trying to remember. I think you have to get them from X to Y, sort of thing. You have to move them all in like an army troop.
Are you talking about
Across.
Lemmys?
Jackal?
No,
that was a Jeep.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're
that
talking
was
about Lemmings.
Nintendo.
You're not talking about Lemmings, are you?
No,
No.
I love Lemmings.
No.
I played the shit out of Lemmings.
It's top down. So picture like the original GTA.
Yeah,
Top
Bird's Eye
down,
view.
sort
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah.
And you're.
I can picture what you're talking about too, and I can't think what the heck the name
I
of the game
played
was.
it all the time around a friend's house.
I need more
cannot remember
details
what it's
because I can
called.
picture a bunch. The original Army Man game played
Run
like
around
that.
with
Yeah,
a little
I was
dot
thinking of
gun.
Army Man.
No.
Because
I feel like
was
it
it
was
like
a Capcom game.
Yeah, it might have
well
been Capcom.
it sounds like the sequel to Bionic Commando because with
Yeah.
Bionic Commando
Maybe that's what
you
I'm
had
thinking
that big map and
I'm gonna
it
keep-
I didn't know
I'm
there.
gonna keep
Wait, I
Googling
didn't know
'cause
there
I
was
need
a
to
sequel
know.
to Bionic Commando.
yeah, but it doesn't play the same as the first. It's more like they went more on the strategy side of it. It's kind of like what they did with the original Metal Gear Solid and Snake's Revenge on Nintendo. Because that's another a lot of people don't know. That's where it started. Not on PS1. It started on Nintendo.
Endo Nerd, the Contra 3 game that come out, there were some stages where it had like a top view.
It did. Yeah, Super Contra and
I couldn't remember if Super C had it, but I knew Contra 3 had it.
Super C does have that. I think it's like the third level where the whole dynamic of the game changes, and instead of side scrolling, you literally it goes into 3D and you go up.
Okay.
Up,
But I
And
may be
there's
getting
that-
them mixed up.
right,
It may be
there's that.
Select start.
There's that. Yeah. The Konami code. I love the Konami code. I used the shit out of that code.
Oh, man.
And it worked on so many things.
It did up until like I
They
want to
switched
say.
it a little bit with Super C. They made it like something at the end changed a little bit, but it was similar.
Well, okay, so after like I want to say it was 64, they started doing it. But if you kept using the Konami code over the years as it progressed, it got worse for you. Instead of giving you like 99 lives, now I'd like take away lives. We started the game with like -1. So if you die, that they were like at a certain point, it became like a trolling thing.
There's one game I vaguely remember. If you put in the code, you got a random something. So either it was a boost or something terrible. But like if it was terrible, you reset the game and you did it again until you got something
Yeah,
good.
that sounds like the later versions.
Yeah.
Because on NES and Super Nintendo, I want to say the Konami code gave you nothing but good things. Like it was all like
Yeah.
extra lives or stage select or
Infinite
like
life, infinite
yeah, stuff like
weaponry.
that. But I want to say it's either like PS1 generation or 64 generation is when they started like trolling people for using the Konami code. At that point, they were like, "Okay, we gave y'all like 20 years. This is."
I'm almost positive it's at the N64 era where it's like, nope, you had your fun.
Do you remember
Yeah.
one of the Grand Theft Autos? I don't know if it was Vice City or San Andreas. If you used the cheat codes and you got to the end of the game, it wouldn't let you beat it because it says you
Yeah.
use cheat codes to get here. You're like, what?
I think that started with.
all this.
I think it started with 3, and then they included that with Vice City, and because that was like the whole beginning of mods and cheats, and
Yeah.
but yeah, because that was like a huge thing at that time. Was like people using the cheats and stuff, and like, hey man, I got this whole list of new Grand Theft Auto cheats that'll let you fly and let you, all this weird stuff. Yeah, and then like, and then like you'd go try and beat the game, and it was like, nope, you can't beat the game. You got to restart it because you're a cheater.
Yeah.
It's like, did you have fun? That's what's important. Now play the
Right.
game for real.
Right.
Unbelievable. Although, like,
Y'all
I-
remember
I've got it.
back in,
I've got it. I
Super-
found it.
You
It's
got it?
Cannon fodder.
Cannon
Did you
Fodder?
ever-
Fodder.
Nope.
Never heard of it.
Nope.
It might have been a European only release then because like it was really big here,
Mm.
but yeah, wow, cool.
Yeah, Super Bomberman. I played like I could say I played most of the regular like Tetris, like Bomberman, Pitfall. Like I want to say I never owned any of those like the basic Nintendo games or whatever. And I hate to say basic, but like Tetris and stuff like that. Like because at one point I think Bomberman was like one of the sets that you got. It was like Bomberman and Mario or something like that. But I want to say like a lot of my friends had games like that.
I love playing Sim City for the Nintendo. I never got the
SimCity was
Mario
good.
statue.
Boner
I didn't-
James, what's up?
I think I played it for Super Nintendo, man. I used to just let that
Yeah,
leave
Super
it on
Nintendo.
and let it run like overnight while I was sleeping to see if I like got money and stuff from it. But I usually ended
Oh,
up
yeah.
getting destroyed by something.
Yeah, it'd be all like a hurricane or some
Yeah.
weird shit. Dinosaurs. Like, why dinosaurs?
And that's what I always thought was funny was in the other Super Sim City versions you got like Godzilla or something, but in the Nintendo you
Yeah.
got Bowser.
Spaceship, right? Would destroy you or something.
You got like aliens. Yeah, it
UFO
was
or
like,
something would
Yeah.
come.
yeah, it was like. I do remember on PC. Well, that was like Choplifter. Who remembers Choplifter?
I do.
Like, did anybody play Choplifter? Oh man, I love that game. Okay, so the game is side scrolling, but you just play a helicopter. You start on a pad, and the whole point of the game, you like fly up, and you have to, it basically like flies like this. And as you go along, you just rescue people. That's all you're supposed to be doing. You can kill stuff along the way, but you literally have to like go and save people and bring them back. Okay, so like a lot of people don't know this, but that's actually one of the first games where Superman was featured. It's actually an Easter egg. If you do like this weird thing where you stay attacking too long, like instead of like planes and the military fighting you, they literally call Superman to come destroy your helicopter and you like crash down. But that was a I think Choplifter's from Master System 1.
Wow.
Like that's how old that.
Leisure Shoot Larry.
They never had that on Super Nintendo. Get out of here.
I think they actually had that for the Nintendo, I think.
Nah, not
Yeah.
Leisure Suit Larry.
That I don't think that was out on the Nintendo.
No, I mean,
PC.
It was
PC.
that era. It was that era. It was like
Yeah, it was that era.
I had it on the Commodore 64. And
I want to.
That may have been it.
If I had to say like Leisure Suit Larry, like for Super Nintendo era, would have been like part 4 or 5, like the later. It was already.
Yeah.
Because Sierra days from PC, man, I love Sierra games. I don't know how many people know a lot of Sierra games.
I love Sierra, King's
that made
Quest, Quest
yeah,
for
King's
Glory.
Quest, Police Quest. You got Mother Goose. Man, they made a whole bunch. But yeah, that was like early for us. I don't know how it was UK, but that was like early Nintendo days.
All right,
Something
guys,
like
I got to drop out, man.
Well, Rich, you
Black
want to advertise yourself before you go, or
Sure. I mean, I don't have anything crazy coming up, but I am doing another double hop video where I sandwich some peroxide papers together to take some stains out of a book. But this time I'm going to be taking the cover off a book and doing just the cover, try to get some stains out.
All those videos, you keep me in freaking like this. You, Jerry, also, I'm like every time, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? What's that cream you're putting on the paper?
You know what's funny, man? Before I even got on YouTube, I started watching Jerry's pressing videos, and that's what made me go out and get a press. Watching Jerry, I'm like, man, I could do this. So that was probably 5 years ago. It was before COVID.
More power to you, man.
And then you keep seeing other stuff, and you're like, man, I got to try that. But listen, the double hop thing, don't take that lightly. It took me 10 tries before I did it, because I ruined a couple books in the process. So luckily they weren't anything important. But I got a Silver Age Batman that's got some staining in it. I don't want to destroy the spine at the same time, so I'm going to try to detach it and do it that way. But that's about all I got, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I love hanging with you guys, man. It's been real. I'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, brother.
All right, so back to the video games. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, my mind's getting.
I'm trying to find out whether Cannon Fodder was only made for the UK or not. It came out in '94 by Sensible Software and Virgin Interactive.
We did have Virgin.
Yep.
Because that's who made that Spot game and
Yeah, it came out on the Amiga, Mega Drive, SNES, Jaguar, 3DO, and Game Boy Color.
We had to have got it. Maybe. Are you sure it was called Cannon Fodder for us, or you don't know?
I mean, it hasn't said that they changed the name on their wiki. I'm intrigued. Oh, I'm intrigued.
Kind of sounds like an earlier version of Worms. Did you ever play Worms?
Yeah. But that wasn't like, this was more of a not first person shooter, but it was a shooter at the same time as being
you said it was
top down.
Top down, yeah.
Yeah. So it's seared into my memory, but I haven't played it in
Ooh, Red Alert. My brother loves Red Alert.
forever.
Command and Conquer. Yeah.
Yeah, like
instead of go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I was like, I was such a loner that like I was drawn to the RPGs because, you know, me like having a buddy over to play video games was like the gaps were like this. So on a rare occasion, I was like, oh, a multiplayer game, Captain America and the Avengers. Let's try this again. I think Super Street Fighter Turbo. Anyone who came over, like it was like that. And then when I got the N64, I had to have, even though I didn't play it that much, I had to have 007, or that was it.
GoldenEye is
GoldenEye. Good lord! Like, you didn't have that, you were out. Your friend, there was 0 friendships left.
Yeah, Endo, we talked about the
Super Scope
earlier. I was going to point out that like a big game for me for Sega, not so much Super Nintendo. There was a Wolverine game called Adamantium Rage, and believe it or not, the Super Nintendo version was different than the Sega version.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I love it.
Okay, well, we also got the 2 X-Men games that were released on Super Nintendo, and then we also got the 2 that were released on Mega Drive or Genesis.
God, what was
the 2 on Genesis were better. We had it was just called Marvel Superheroes, I think, and that was the first like kind of fighting game.
What was you gonna say, Cliff?
The Capcom X-Men game for Nintendo 64.
Mutant Apocalypse.
64.
Oh my god, I loved it so much because like I wasn't sure what to do, but it played like Street Fighter, and then I was just playing it with my college roommates years after it came out, or a couple years after it came out, and I'm like, yeah, I got it. Look at what I'm doing with Psylocke. Yeah, and they were like, dude, what happened? I was like, it plays like Street Fighter. This is amazing.
That's Marvel versus Capcom.
No, this is Mutant Apocalypse. If you did the little down forward button.
And every beat 'em up I've played since Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, I essentially do the same button movements. And
they pretty much have the same.
Yeah, it's gonna work. Like it's gonna work in some way.
Mm-hmm.
But Mutant Apocalypse is a beat 'em up side scroller, and like I was shocked. That was the trick. The trick was do Street Fighter moves, and I was like, oh, okay. And then forget it. I was losing my mind. I'm like, we're beating this game tonight, guys.
Because they had on Super Nintendo, they had like I think it was like Marvel and Infinity Gems. They had like
Yep, and that was bad. I do not remember that being enjoyable whatsoever.
That's what led to. I think that's Capcom.
Carnage.
Yeah, Maximum Carnage. The Captain. There was quite a bit of Marvel on Super Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
Because we did have the Captain America. There was like the Maximum Carnage. I want to say there was a Punisher game.
The one Cliff was talking about, was that the War of the Gems?
War of the Gems.
War of the Gems, right? And remember Spider-Man and the X-Men? That was pretty bad too.
Yeah. They also did a Spider-Man, what was it?
Arcade.
Yeah,
and we got Spider-Man like versus Arcade, or Spider-Man X-Men in Arcade, something like that.
Yeah, that's the one Cliff was talking about, the Arcade's Revenge or something.
Yeah, I don't remember War of the Gems being terrible.
War of the Gems, like, don't quote me, but I think that's the start of the Marvel versus Capcom franchise. That's what started. That was the first like Capcom like in Marvel game, because I think there's two other X-Men games that we got that were all on the Super Nintendo, and they weren't made by Capcom. I think they were made by some other company.
Yeah.
But I want to say like that's what, because 64 is like none of the games were side scrolling on 64. 64 was all 3D grad, like all the box looking like
Yep.
that was like Mortal Kombat 64. It was, they all looked cubish and it looked like virtual
Yeah.
fighting. New technology. Look at the cubes.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I forgot Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was on Nintendo 64, but I do not remember it. And if I do remember it, I probably remember it poorly.
I don't think I remember that being on a system until like PS1 maybe or 2.
PS1 we got Marvel Superheroes.
Endo nerd. Okay, now when it comes to cross streaming platforms, if you're on one channel, you're just going to see that channel's messages. You're not going to see somebody for say somebody who comments on Cliff's stream or Durz's stream or mine. Right? That's right, right?
That is correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
when they cross stream.
Yeah.
The only
Cross
way-
streams.
Yeah. Yeah, Neo Geo. No, that was a whole different beast. I mean, Neo Geo was there for me from Nintendo to Super Nintendo.
I didn't
I
know a
think the
single person that had a Neo Geo. Like,
I think
they
the-
just,
the-
they just didn't.
I was going to say, I think the Neo Geo had a great concept in theory, but it just wasn't. I don't know, was it applied correctly or?
Well, it was expensive.
Yeah, it was
issue,
expensive.
like.
It was like triple the cost of all the other like at home.
Did anybody have a Jaguar?
No, I didn't have a Jaguar.
I did.
My buddy who had the Jaguar also had the Neo Geo. He had everything.
Right.
I never had the Neo Geo. The only system that I can remember not owning is the Panasonic thing that came out. And it was like
Yeah.
and I think it was called the 3D or whatever.
3DO?
We never
Yeah.
we never had that, and we never had the like any kind of Neo Geo cabinet because they've made several over the years.
Was
but
it
like,
the Neo Geo one where you plugged in your little thing in the arcade? You could come home
Yeah.
and plug it in, continue.
Yeah.
Again, only the rich kid in class had it. The
Yeah.
one rich
Yeah.
boy.
I only had one friend that had that, and honestly, like, and not he was a drug dealer. He was and he was like cartel drug dealer, not like low level.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never had a Neo Geo or 3DO, but hell, I didn't even
We had
have
a Jaguar.
Dreamcast or a Saturn. But
I
didn't
saw
have a
a
Jaguar
Jaguar once in a shop. That's the only time I've seen a Jaguar.
We actually had fun on the Jaguar. Like a lot of people talk shit about it, but like I mean, and the controller was really weird, but still, how you played it, it still worked the same function. I mean, it was just the big bottom part was on the bottom. So I mean, the controller part.
I can remember when Alien versus
Yes,
Predator came
that's the
out.
game.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Like,
so good.
the hype was real, man. Like everybody was up for it. And then it came out, and everybody was like, "Yeah, it's not good."
It was good for that time. It was good for that time. I remember that being one of the ones. I mean, there was some, like, I want to say that it was like the darkness was a big factor in that game because everything was green. It was like green and black. Like, no, but I want to say that's around the time where like the Alien and Predator games just started to like, you know, downcline and what they gave us kind of thing. But no, there was a couple good like Atari games because there was Primal Rage, and that was like the real arcade port of Primal Rage was on the Jaguar. I think that's the reason why we bought the stupid system was Primal Rage.
I'm gonna be honest, I never had a
Primal Rage would be the
Jaguar,
reason.
but I always considered getting one because I knew they had a Highlander game for it.
That
Oh,
I
I
don't
didn't know about that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so I've got something even more obscure. Did you know anybody that had a Virtual Boy?
No, but I
okay. We kind of did and kind of didn't. Like, I want to say we had one and we got one as a family, and we all like played it, and instantly I think it went back the next day because none of us liked it. Like, and I want to say it was a Christmas present. It was like, I know it was either me or my brother that got it, and like I want to say it went around the whole family, like aunts, uncles, like grandparents, and everybody was like, "No, not for me."
I'm gonna tell another story. This will betray my age. They had one on display at my local Blockbuster,
Mm.
and I said, "Well, let me give it a go." And I started playing it, and I went, "Nope, nope, nope, nope."
You
Too
know
much
the bit
reading.
it wasn't that it actually because I remember they got us like 2 or 3 games, and I want to say one of the games is Mario Brothers, and that was actually kind of cool playing on the 3D. And the old school Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers. But I want to say the other 2 games is like a fighter game, which kind of played like Star Fox. It had the wiry frames and stuff, and that one wasn't so cool. I want to say they did have a shooter game, and that one was all right. The problem with it was, and the biggest problem, if they just would have gone around this one problem, was it was stationary. You literally had to like set it on something, and it was like you had this much space, and you literally either had to like stand there with it, or you had to like lay on your belly to be able to play it. Like it was so because the stand that it came with was literally like that tall. It was like
Yeah.
smaller than like a tripod or whatever. It was so weird.
I remember seeing the photos in all the magazines at the time and being like, well, this seems awesome, but also really bad looking. And then it turned out everybody said it was all really
I
bad.
want to say that was the biggest drawback of it was like you couldn't play it for long period because it was so weird to like you either had to be standing like right in front of it or you had to be laying on your belly.
Okay, I want to bring this up. My brother Jeremy's in the chat, so he loves Chrono Trigger. So I want to take a minute and I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about Chrono Trigger because me and him both agree that it's probably one of the best games for the Super Nintendo. But what do y'all think?
It's one of my faves. I mean, it's definitely a classic. I've actually gone through the game and gotten every single ending. Like I spent the time even getting like the extremely hard one where you go fight him like early on in the beginning with no powers and you try and beat his ass. And, no, I mean Chrono Trigger was dope. Like that, when we got a sequel. I don't know if y'all know this. We finally got like 25 years later, 30 years. They finally gave us a sequel. But no, Chrono Trigger's dope.
Yep.
It took 5 billion years, but there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know that I played it. I can't remember a damn thing about it, honestly. Like it's like I know what it was and everything, but I know somebody because I don't think it was released here. That would be the first thing. I think one of my friends had to import it, and because your cartridges were different, so they had to get the adapter thing to get it to play. I think either that or whether it was Secret of Mana. I don't know. I definitely played Secret of Mana as well.
Oh, Secret of Mana.
I know. Thanks to somebody, my brother, I can play Chrono Trigger on here. He put it on here, and I've got the port. I got the port that came with Final Fantasy Chronicles for the PS1.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because if you try to go out and get a original Super Nintendo cartridge, you're going to spend some money.
Yeah, especially on Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger shit, like just for the cartridge itself, it's like $100 game.
Yeah, it really is.
No, but Chrono Trigger.
Here we go.
You start off in like a market. You start off in a market. Yeah, it's same artwork from the Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, and all that.
My brother Jeremy is a massive Dragon Ball fan. He's got every iteration of the show that's been out on DVD.
The only property of his that I've never touched is Dragon Quest, and I've always wanted to. I have like the first 3 games, and I have like the redone versions of them, but like, and I'm talking about the 8-bit, versions of Dragon Quest. But like, it's such a horrible game. Like when you compare it to like Final Fantasy or something like that, it's just like
No, it was crazy, and you had to be careful, like what corner you turn or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember I was killing slimes forever to level up because I was like, I'm never gonna be able to beat that mummy dude if I can't kill these slimes.
You start getting in the black slimes and the red slime. No, it gets ridiculous.
No, and the black slimes and the red slimes deadly, and I was like, what is that? But I did finish that game. That was one of those games where I'm like, I am gonna stay on top of you. This is happening. I think that might have been my first RPG that I went nuts, where I'm like, no, we will finish this.
All right.
Other than Zelda, I guess. Legend of Zelda probably was the first time I was like, no.
And I don't know why, but every time when somebody mentions Secret of Mana, I always think of Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Guy was all right. It's different
Yeah, I mean,
game.
I liked them both, but for some reason, when somebody mentions Secret of Man, I automatically think of the other one. The other one too.
Secret of Man is the better game. What do you call it? All right, so one that no one brought up, and I can't believe no one brought up this game because I
Was I fixing to bring it up?
I don't know, but I'm gonna beat you to it. But nobody,
Go
including Durs and Rich, nobody brought up this game. But Donkey Kong Country. No,
I
none of
did.
y'all played
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I
No,
brought it up.
no.
They all said
Watch the
Donkey Kong
replay.
Country.
Watch the replay.
Yeah, watch the
I
replay.
said it.
Like, it was definitely brought up.
I'm not messing with you. All right, so like none of y'all spent any time on those games. Like Diddy's. I mean, you're talking about on Super Nintendo. We got 3 games.
The
played
first
the hell out of
game,
them.
I
I
played
loved
the
it.
hell out of that game.
Mm.
Like, it was.
The thorn levels in 2 still give me PTSD.
But like it was one of those games where like I always felt like I tried a little harder, I got a little better, I kept going, and like it wasn't like that damn Sega Genesis Lion King game. I mean that one, you want to talk about PTSD, that one is the ultimate nightmare childhood game. It's like Simba will not live to be king because this game is too damn hard. It's not happening. They might as well call it. What was his name? The villain uncle
Scar.
Yeah, they might as well call it Scar Wins or Scar's Revenge or
Scar beats your ass.
Scar's gonna whoop your candy head.
Scar takes your virginity.
Yes, Scar.
your mental virginity.
Scars gay ass, scars you for life. Like that really.
Scars you for life. I get it.
Because I was like, I can't get out of this pit. I'm getting run over all the time.
Be like, wait a minute. Why did this game come with a tube of lotion? Because you about to get screwed.
Yes, for real. It works.
Oh, I forgot to point out the stuff I did. I adopted a little dog.
Oh.
Stitch. Yeah.
Had to keep.
Trying to think if there's any other Super Nintendo.
But I was gonna mention Earthbound.
Earthbound's great. Oh man, I can't believe I didn't talk about that. Yeah,
nobody talked about Earthbound that I know of.
Mother, I love that.
I forgot who it was. Somebody mentioned it in the chat, but
I love that whole franchise. The only one I haven't played is Mother 3, and I'm hoping that they announced it for the Japanese Switch, but they didn't announce it for us. But I recently went back and played like the NES first one, which is called Mother, and then Earthbound. But Earthbound is such a weird and crazy ass game. It's so fun.
Yeah. I'm looking at it and I'm having very weird flashbacks.
Did they make Lethal Enforcers for the Super Nintendo? I knew they made it for Sega.
I want to say yes. It feels like it. Like I want to say that was one of the light games we did, because there was quite a bit of light games, because we had those like red and it wasn't just
crazy?
Super Scope.
Yeah. I forgot Ness was in Earthbound, but I remember playing his game afterwards.
Most people know him from Smash, from Super Smash Bros.
No, that would be now, but I know him from way back when you're like running around that little neighborhood trying to do stuff.
Yeah, that's Earthbound.
Yeah,
that game is hard as hell, but it's weird. It's weird as hell too, because it's like the enemies in the game is like hobo with a stick, or UFO or robot man. Actually, the robots in the game are the things you should stay away from. But like at the end of the game, you fight like some weird fetus. Like that's the end boss. It's a weird ass game.
It was a weird ass game.
And I did play a few wrestling games, but there wasn't that many.
Well, I did too. Actually, during that time, I was playing. What the hell? You can't do that. No.
Whoa! Wait a minute.
That's
like DVH reveal. Oh my goodness.
That was not DVH. That was some other dude.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a different Mao.
Please adjust your. See, there you go.
Oh, there he is. Who are you? Where's DVH? Oh, there you are.
In this case, do adjust your TV set. Something was wrong.
I've been thinking about doing that for ages.
You should come on, like you should get on your wife's account or something like that, and just pop off with a regular, like, random YouTube name, like Mr. B or Mr. D or some shit like that, and then just
Yeah.
like hop on someone's, like, when they put the link in the chat, just come on without the makeup, be like, who the fuck is that guy?
Just have a t-shirt
Right.
on. Go,
No makeup. How about a regular, some kind of
Yeah.
t-shirt? I love it. You
Yeah.
know, and just
Oh,
See
man.
how long I
Show
can keep
show
up
up for
the accent.
Durs.
Like I just do my best American accent and see how long I can sort of.
Be like, hey Mike, how's it going?
April Fool's Day. April 1st is around the corner, baby. Do it then.
That is true.
I
That
was
is
gonna say that when somebody said something, be like, "Oh man, that sucks."
You just stick to the American catchphrases. I like bubble gum.
What was it? What was it?
I
That,
got shotguns and whiskey.
Remember in Godzilla with the
what was that episode of Frasier where they're coming through the Canadian border and Daphne slept on the way in, but coming back they get pulled over, and she's like, "I only know how to say one thing in American," and and the guy keeps talking to her, and she's like, "Sure,
sure.
sure."
Yeah. I do remember that episode.
Oh my god! So, what are some games? We went through a laundry list of games, but what are the games that made y'all break your controllers?
I'm not that gamer. Yeah, I'm not.
Oh
Never
no, I
been.
did.
Oh,
on the
I
SNES
did.
game.
I
On the
did. That-
SNES game, I definitely did it, but I'm just trying to remember what it was. 'Cause
Mine was
I would
Top
just
Gear.
quit.
I can
would just
remember
quit stuff.
literally wrapping it around my bedpost, going because I had like a thick wooden bedpost on each end of the bed. I can remember just going ape on it because of the game. What was it? Oh no, I was livid.
I remember playing Top
That
Gear,
means-
and I was on the last race, and I was finally fixing to beat it for the first time ever, and at the last second, this car came out of nowhere and won, and it was game over. I literally jerked the controller out of my head, out of the system, wrapped the cord around my hand, and beat it against the floor, and then threw it up against the wall, and it shattered into pieces.
Nah, I've never been that type of gamer where I took my rage out like in real life.
But back then, Super Nintendo controllers were $6. So I mean,
Yeah, it's true. Not like they are nowadays.
I
I broke a.
I was like 11.
Yeah.
My
No.
control was a little bit off the.
I was gonna say nowadays, I don't break controllers because they're
No,
I will say I quit some games. There were a bunch of games that, like, if I felt like they were impossible to beat or whatever, I'd be like, nope. I mean, but I'm the type of gamer that would like that's like, on Elden Ring's a modern game, like trying to beat one of the bosses in the game. I must have spent like 20 hours just trying to beat this one specific boss. I get real dedicated and I'll stick with it until, like, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say nowadays. Now, if I get angry playing the game, I'll just go, take a deep breath, turn off the system. I'll come back to it.
Yeah. It's the best thing to do. Nah, but when we were younger, you can't fault yourself for that. If you were, if you.
Oh,
I mean,
I would get. Have you heard the context of my video game stories? I cleared out my savings to buy Ninja Turtles for NES. Right?
Oh Lord!
I broke my piggy banks one day to go to Walmart to buy my first Super Nintendo. No, there's context there. And I would get upset and I would just put it down because I'm like, I can't afford to break any of this stuff. I was like, it will take me forever to go and replace something.
That's closer to my heart.
I never got a replacement for that controller.
It's still dead to this day.
Like, do you know how many of my friends, they're like, oh, you're coming over, we're going to play blah, blah, blah. Bring your controller. And I'm like, oh my God, because that was it. They would break their stuff. And like, dude, it was like, well, those controllers are $30 to replace. It's like,
to be fair, I think the one that I broke was the third-party version that I had obviously on the D-pad, you have like the cross. Well, on this one, it was turned to the side. So it didn't even.
I do. That's a whole different beast because see, nowadays these new gamers, the controllers are so complete. There's no real issues. I mean, you might get some like side drift every now and then, whatever. But no, we're talking about back in the day. You would get a controller, and it'd be a brand new controller, and it might have some weird ass shit going on with it in the get
Yeah.
go. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that they were still kind of like mapping and working things out. I remember like Atari sticks. Who remembers Atari sticks, right? And just like that shit just didn't move in that corner. You had to go, move around. No, no, I especially like Super Nintendo. I can remember Super Nintendo and Super Nintendo controllers. I would say they were decently made. Like they, I mean, like unless you smashed them, like they were hard to, kind of mess up. But I do remember
Yeah.
Super
Like if
Nintendo's
you had
like
the official controllers, they were pretty reliable. I mean, that you could play them
secondhand.
hard.
You
Like
talk about the Mad Cat stuff and
the like if you think about how you used to play Street Fighter 2 Turbo, like you would bash those buttons and
oh no,
the
that's a whole
the
different. The buttons
yeah.
just went out. I even on the Super. That's what I was mentioning. Like even on the Super Nintendo, the real controllers, like if you were just straight up playing fighting games, now your buttons would go out, like the X, B, Y.
I played Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo incessantly. My controllers were great.
Hmm.
And in fact, it was my friend who most often said, "Don't forget to bring your controller." He loved Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but oh my god, he would throw a fit if he lost, and that's how he lost his second controller in the first place.
I want to say from remembrance, for me, it was because I was a bigger Mega Drive or Genesis fan over Super Nintendo. I like both systems, and I didn't have the drawback like where I couldn't play either. But as I remember it, like Genesis had more their controllers were faulty. Like compared, that was like the one drawback. I remember like Genesis controllers, like, and it wasn't even the first option that we got because the first option just had the ABC. Now it was when
Yeah.
they implemented the like XYZ buttons.
You had to
Like I
get like
remember the
the 6-button pad was
and I remember those
quite a
controllers
long
going out.
while after as well. I mean, it took a while to get that.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
4 years after launch or something. They started
Mhm.
going with the 6-button thing. But I remember those controllers like wearing out really fast. I remember somewhere in Terra with the Super Nintendo, like the R and B button, stuff like that, like the left and right shoulders.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, y'all, we done surpassed the 2-hour mark. This is probably the longest running episode we've had. That's pretty cool. I mean, my wife's in Nebraska, so I mean, I can hang out as long as y'all want. But anyway, I'm gonna take a minute. We'll go around the horn and shout. We'll see what's going on with everybody. We'll start with Mike. I guess we're gonna start with Mike, man. What you got coming up, brother?
Crap. I have on. I gotta remember all this stuff. Remembering. No. All right. So on March 2nd at 7 p.m. Mountain. I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern. I always forget the times. But we're doing our part 2 of the Stephen King read along live discussion where you can come along and talk about the book. We're reading pages 179 to the end, or Lady of Shadows to the end of the book. But yeah, come by and talk to us. You love Stephen King or love Dark Tower. Yeah, but me and Trev on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Central. I always forget that. I'm not good with all the damn time zones. But that's all I
Well,
got.
it's pretty hard for me to work out when stuff happens.
That's where it gets
I'll be
even
honest,
weirder trying to look up stuff from like across overseas. So I can't even imagine the pain that you have to go through trying to figure out like.
Well, that's genuinely why I miss stuff sometimes, just because I can't work it out.
Dude, me trying to keep up with you guys, like Triple G, I'm just like, oh no. I was like, when is this on?
Yeah.
I'm like, where are you?
Well, that's like the WWE thing. They were gonna say, get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and watch Elimination Chamber. Bullshit. I watched the replay.
I mean, I literally have had a life's worth of watching WWE pay-per-views starting at 1 a.m. Like, bear in mind, every US pay-per-view started at 1 a.m. That's how, like, as a kid, you'd get up in the middle of the night and you'd watch it all. Yeah, crazy.
You didn't have replays back then.
No, not back then. No. Well, I mean, you could video it. I did do that. What time is it?
Did you usually make an event of it? Like, all right, guys, we like so and so ordered it. We're gonna sleep over there.
When I was older, yeah. But when it was just me being a 16-year-old nerd, it would just be me. Like, yeah. It was.
What time is it?
It is currently 2:10.
Yeah.
Well, you are a night owl.
Indeed.
All right, Cliff. Tell us what you got coming up.
Okay, Sunday nights, the Council of Comics. We're doing the third Batman. We're doing trilogies this year. So Sundays, it's the box office and movies we've watched. So we're doing The Dark Knight Rises. So that'll end the Batman trilogy, and then we'll start something new the following week. Monday night, we've got
Land Before Time.
Yeah. Oh,
Land Before Time. Yep, there you go. That's the trilogy that I want y'all to focus on. Steven Spielberg, Land Before Time.
I'm so mad at you for giving me a series of tearjerkers.
Was the first film I saw.
The first one still makes me cry, you son of a.
It's good.
So
Littlefoot. Come on, man.
I can't. Yeah. The first one, I mean, I probably will, but the first one still makes me cry. So, like, great. So, Monday nights, Keys and Hot Comics. Oh, Papa Wheelie should be joining us tomorrow for Batman. C. Bizzle should be joining us again for Keys and Hot Comics on Monday night. And, of course, Monday night, this is the end of the month. So, this is your last chance to get a duck. We're going to have 2 duck races. We're going to have 1 prize for our 750 subscriber celebration and 1 prize for the month. So that's going to be very exciting. Look forward to that. And then Thursday night, it's officially the end of the month for me, and it will be the last session of Crisis Quest for this month. And then next month, I'm just going to try and schedule 1 group per week and see how that goes.
All right, DVH, what you got coming up?
So I'll probably have a video coming on Monday, probably a Wrestle Crate, I would think. Then I'll have a slab unboxing on Friday, maybe. But most importantly, next Friday night for me, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, that's the best I can do for the time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, is Triple G's mental health charity auction / giveaway / raffle sort of drive. So like if you're about at 3 p.m. Eastern, whatever time that is, wherever you are, then come over and just be in the chat, because at the end of the day, like the watch hours, everything that he does there does build up slowly, and we're not talking. He's not trying to do C3 type of numbers. His goal is to get like £500. So I think we can do that. It's like small amounts, tick it away, and try and give money back to a charity, which would be great. I'll be there, and hopefully all of you will be, if you're so inclined.
Cool. Well, for me, tomorrow I'll probably be on Durz's show. I meant to ask you what the cover theme was. I always forget.
Number 7s, issue 7s.
Issue 7s? Okay, cool. That should be easy. So in a few weeks coming up here in Jonesboro, we have the All Nerds Assemble Con Heroes in a Half Shell featuring Wayne Grayson, Tim Lottie, Steve Levine, and Jeremy Clark. My wife's going to have a table there. I'll be representing Comiverse in some capacity. Monday night, I'll be with Izzy. The Comiverse is going to meet the Izzyverse for his show. Then I'll be dropping a unboxing. I think this was something from Pop's Attic and eBay, if I remember correctly. Then Thursday is Crisis Trivia. I'm going to try to win that. And then next week's Spotlight is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Jackal and that Punisher guy. And then we'll be back here next week for Into the Comiverse, where it'll be the 25th episode. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a supervillain. What makes bad guys bad? Or basically, I would like to do some stuff where compare what people perceived as bad guys from the 60s till now. Would they still be considered bad guys? Or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the 23rd, me and DVH are combining the Mega Powers are combining for our big dual 300 subscriber giveaway. Now, I can't speak on DVH's end, but I'm planning on, if I have everything that I'm going to give away set up by the 16th, the week before, I'm going to show off everything then. I'm keeping the rules simple. All you got to do is be at the live show, just participate in the live show and you're in. So
yeah, that's exactly the way I'm going to do it as well. So,
and I started out at 3 giveaways, but I think I'm at 5 now. So I mean, I've got some crazy shit that I'm fixing to give away. I mean,
I'm not going to pretend I'm going to match that, but
I didn't intend to do it. I didn't intend to do it either. It just happened.
It'll be fun. We'll have a good time. We'll give some stuff away.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't that
just
give
it back? Give back to the community and thank everybody for supporting both channels.
Yeah,
and I want to thank everybody for hanging out in the channel. Everybody, all my buddies that hang out in the everybody that hung out in the panel, everybody that hung out in the chat, everybody watching the replay. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. You continue to support the channel. And we're going to scoot on out of here. And as soon as I can find my video. And we'll see y'all next time.